Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
This episode, we're going to be talking about alignment. Does it belong in tabletop RPGs? Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about alignment and does it belong in tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder?
Well, the whole concept, when I first started playing, which admittedly was only yesterday, the thing is, everybody's like, well, what's the alignment of your character? It's going to govern your character's behavior,
Right.
as opposed to your alignment.
Right, so with the recent announcement of Paizo, and they're redoing the player's handbook, the DMG, and the monsters, they are removing alignment from their system. Now, they're doing this because they want to distance themselves as far as they can from the open gaming license of Wizards of the Coast and get on with their own system, the ORC. The open role-playing license, so they call it ORC.
Open role-playing license? That's
well,
oral.
It's like Oracle is what they call it, but they leave off the L.
Okay. So, alignment to me is like one of those traditions of role-playing games. You create a character, you agonize over their alignment. What is my character going to do in this certain situation? Are they going to steal from somebody? Are they just going to kill somebody? Are they going to rescue somebody? Do they represent the law of the land?
Yeah, they care about everybody. They just care about themselves.
There's sort of alignments where, there's alignments in there, and there's sort of behavioral alignments in there. And that's always one thing that when we roll up characters, we always consider. What is my character? Chaotic neutral. Chaotic good. That sort of thing.
Yeah. Lawful neutral.
Lawful neutral. Yeah. Lawful good.
Neutral good. Chaotic evil.
Yeah. Neutral, good and neutral evil.
Right.
Lawful evil. So, and we've talked before about the different people who inhabit these different alignments. Right. But, here's the thing. What if you got rid of them? How would that alter your characters? How would that change their behavior?
Yeah, it's a real interesting concept.
Yeah.
Because we've had the alignment system in tabletop RPGs since it started.
Yeah.
And a lot of it dates back from books like Paul Anderson's Three Hearts and Three Lions, who the main character in that is considered to be lawful good. He has this moral belief that he has in doing good things.
Yeah.
But, in the real world situation, we try to look at things of alignment. So, we watch a movie. We watch Star Wars and we think, oh, Darth Vader, he's lawful evil.
Yeah.
And then you got Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke, and or you watch a movie like Conan or The Song of Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
And
How,
and you start rating everybody, and that's the thing that we all do. We watch a movie when we're gamers, is we start saying, well, this person's lawful good and this person's lawful neutral, and their alignment and they're chaotic and whatever.
Well, it's an intrinsic part of the storyline and the character building concept. What happens when you get rid of it? Well, what do you replace it with? Or do you replace it with something at all?
Yeah.
So everybody has moral behaviors of their character. The reason why I don't think it's always that good to remove it is because as you build your character has an alignment. That governs how you play your character. Okay? And that governs how you role play. If you are playing your character just like you live your life, and some people do, but not everybody does, then are you really role-playing? Or are you just basically playing your character out in the game?
Yeah.
We've known some people who have some sort of sketchy moral backgrounds.
Well, they might be playing a lawful good character, and their character's bordering more on the chaotic neutral,
They want to be a paladin, and when it's like, oh yeah, you're a lawful good paladin, but you just stabbed that villager. Why did you do that?
That's not a good action.
Yeah, that's not a good action.
Right, which we had in a previous episode, should DMs remove alignment? Well,
yeah.
So the RPG system, Paizo with Pathfinder is removing alignment from the system. So you get into the morality. We all have, like Tom was saying, morality and how we live our lives. And our own world isn't really so cut and dry, but we as I was saying, when we watch a movie or we see somebody on TV, we say, well, that's, that was chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Or, wow, that's a really good, lawful good person, because what they're doing, they're helping, the poor, and they're giving them a place to sleep, and they're giving them food, and they're doing everything they can to help that person.
Yeah.
So we, in our own right, rate in the alignment system.
Sure.
The whole, nine alignments.
Yeah, in a way, I mean, we all make moral judgments about people's behavior. We have people who, are fully realized as moral characters like Gandhi or Abraham Lincoln or people like that. People who really, fully
Mother Teresa.
Yeah, who fully...
Adolf Hitler.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, if you want to look at it that way, we're looking at different ends of the spectrum. But, we look at people like that and they have these fully realized moral actions, as we look at them. And so the thing about role-playing games is that it allows you to take up the role of a character you may not actually live in. So myself, I don't consider myself like a roguish character at all. I have a pretty stiff moral code just because I believe in, treating people how they would treat me in return. And I believe, I believe in morality. That doesn't mean that when I play like a chaotic neutral thief that I'm not going to go around picking pockets in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so so the alignments allow you to kind of extend yourself in a way in a role-playing game. If you get rid of those, what do you do about your character? What do you do about your character? How do you inhabit that character's world and that character's behavior?
Are they going to come up with a morality system where you generate what your character believes upon? And follows. Now, in my world, More Wicca that we ran out of, we actually didn't really use alignment. We based it more upon, your actions. If you did something good, you gained favor, or you gained what was it? I'm trying to think of it.
Well, there was you gained fame.
Yeah, fame.
Fame and favor, but then there was also like disfavor.
Right.
That you would become like you would have this bad reputation.
Right.
And that sort of
thing. Get a bad reputation.
Yeah.
Long time ago in first edition, we always used to joke that the alignment system is really, what is it? Because we as Americans would have viewed Russia possibly as chaotic evil.
Yeah.
And Russia would have viewed America as chaotic evil.
Yeah.
But we view ourselves as lawful good.
Yeah.
And they view themselves as lawful good.
Exactly.
So it was kind of this, how do you really see yourself?
Yeah.
Now, which way is it? Now, you can base alignment upon, what religion or what you do, like you were saying, being treated well by somebody, makes you treat them well.
Yeah.
And if they stab you in the back, well, it's like, off with you. I don't want anything to do with you. But, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do anything bad to them. You just disassociate yourself from them.
Exactly. And, those are different levels of moral behavior and how you act. The thing about getting rid of them from role-playing games is you're going to have to replace it with something. Because otherwise you end up playing something like it's just a game that you'll play like, I don't know,
a game of life.
Some kind of, sci-fi game where everybody essentially is just whatever they are.
Yeah.
And
then you get into the whole aspect of when it comes to spells. Okay, well, you typically have your detect evil, detect good, detect neutral, protection from, law, chaos, evil, good. How is it going to affect those? And now they just get thrown away. And then you start looking at your creatures. So vampires and liches are typically considered evil.
Well, yeah, they have an evil slant because they basically exploit others. Vampires exploit people for blood. They hunt people. Liches because they do evil things. They're consumed by evil magic.
Or the chromatic dragons. If in typical fantasy RPGs, you've got your red dragons, which
Yeah.
are evil. So,
Yeah.
you know, these are things that are going to have to be totally reworked in the Paizo Pathfinder system of alignment. And how is that going to work? And then you start getting into the classes. Because paladins have to be lawful good.
Typically, yeah, paladins. Well, unless they're anti-paladins.
Yeah, and then
That's
they're
different.
And then they're chaotic evil.
Yeah, so
They're the total opposite end of the spectrum.
yeah. So I mean, you have like rogues. Rogues typically are considered to be chaotic. Now they don't always have to be, but they're typically considered to be chaotic because they do roguish things. They don't stick to the typical rules of society.
Yeah, a lot of what they believe is about themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they come first.
They're a
Now,
little
if it
more
means-
self-centered.
means keeping everybody else alive to keep you alive, then I'm going to do
Yeah,
it.
they're typically kind of cynical and misanthropic and that sort of thing. And then, then you go, like, if you want to consider like characters within an evil or immoral areas, that's necromancy.
Yeah, necromancy in what we would consider in society, modern day society, is an evil thing because you're raising the dead or doing things to the dead. You know, people would consider Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, to be a necromancer and evil because he created the Frankenstein monster for science. Even though it was for science and he was doing it for science, it was still considered necromancy in a lot of respects.
Yeah. So, you know, what we consider today to be essentially, you know, evil in our moral sense, you know, a lot of it reflects in role-playing games itself. You know, we would consider necromancy to be evil, raising the dead, and even in role-playing games, it's often considered evil. You know, we have our
definitely chaotic.
Yeah, you know, we have our paladins, you know, in our world, you know, social justice crusaders and things like that. Sure. You know, and we have our rogues, and we have thieves and various kind of con people.
Right.
Oh, sure. I mean, you know, the role-playing games sometimes mirror our world, but what defines a role-playing game from what we are, what separates us from that, is that we inhabit the moralities of the characters we create, and it doesn't necessarily reflect what we are. Although, as we've mentioned before, we've had some players in our games exhibit some pretty sketchy morality because we found out later they were actually very sketchily immoral individuals. So sometimes it can reflect, you know, how they play. So, I mean, that's sort of a side point, but I mean, it's going to be a matter of opinion what people think about, you know, when Paizo does this.
Yeah.
My opinion is if you're going to do this, if you're going to remove alignments, you've got to replace it with something. You know, try to convince me wrong. You know, if you don't agree with me, you know, in the comments, you know, try to make a case. You know,
how do you think it'll work?
Yeah, how do you think it's going to work?
How do you think Paizo is going to do this with Pathfinder? You know, with removing alignment out of the system to distance themselves from the OGL and Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be a morality system somehow.
Yeah.
Now, how is it going to work? That's yet to be seen. Nobody's really saying a whole lot. You know, Jason Berman and all those guys at Paizo aren't saying yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you know, despite the fact that people like to separate the world between the moral and immoral, there's a lot of gray areas. I mean, despite the fact that, you know, I represent the black, Delaney represents the white, in between us, there's a lot of gray areas. So,
notice
anyway.
White, gray, smoking.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, we'd love to hear what you have to think.
Yeah, so please leave your comments on alignment and removing it from the system. How do you think it's going to work? Or do you have a system of your own that you use? We'd like to hear what you have to say. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, share, let everybody know. Pass the word about us if you like us. If you don't like us, please keep it positive. Don't leave any negative, bad things, because that's just going to go to the wayside. So anyway, thank you for watching Wizards of the Tower.
Role play.
May all your adventures be epic.
And keep on rolling.
Thanks, folks.